Any chance of Max winning? As he said last week, I'm going to quote Max as he said last week, last time around in China, he will only win the race if he has 6 disqualifications or however many disqualifications in front of him. Yeah, I think even in wet conditions tomorrow, I think Max would have to have a lot of fortune. The car just does not look to be how Max wants it, and he's bleeding a lot of time into a lot of corners with a lot of understeer, complaining that it's got no front ends. Not how Max likes to drive the car. So
a few moments later.
Lando Norris, but it's Max Verstappen. All eyes on Max at the moment. What is his second sector time like? I do suspect that Piastri won't be able to improve unless he magically claws back 3/10 from somewhere. That is a tall order for Piastri to claw back after that poor first sector. Verstappen, how is his second sector time? It's a 39.3. It's neck and neck between Verstappen and Norris, and Verstappen, who struggled here this weekend. Could he, with a mega last corner here, a mega last sector, snatch pole position, an unlikely pole position away from Lando Norris? It's a wet race tomorrow. We know he excels in wet conditions, and Max Verstappen steals pole position away from Lando Norris by 12 hundredths of a second. Unbelievable there. Yeah, I'll admit, I did not see Max Verstappen sticking it on pole position. What a lap. Credit where it is blooming due, because the reason why I didn't predict he was going to be on pole position is for the reasons I stated at the start. He has struggled with that car all week. The gap to Yuki, I do think, has looked closer, not due to Yuki's great understanding of the car, even though he's made a good start in that car, barring obviously the qualifying performance in P15. But Max has struggled with understeer in that car all week. He struggled to turn the corner into it. He struggled saying that there's been no front end on the car, and it's clearly not been the same car that he had to deal with at the start of this season. But boy, oh boy, did that car come to him throughout that qualifying session. Now, the reason I say why did it come to him as well? Well, the track temperature started at just short of 35 degrees in Q1. And that was where Max was a little bit off the top teams, McLaren and George Russell. But he wasn't too far off. But the gap that you kind of expect to see Red Bull behind McLaren at the moment, in particular. And then as the track temperature cooled, it got down to 28 degrees by Q3. That just clearly, what I presume, helped balance out that car, because you look at the onboard of Max in that pole position lap, that is the most stable I have seen the Red Bull car in any session in this season thus far, let alone what we saw this weekend. And yeah, to put it on pole position like that on a lower downforce configuration compared to McLaren as well. The first sector for the S's was just so tight and sweet, like pure talent. For him to keep it as tight like that with a lower downforce setup, I mean, that's a sector where you want more downforce. And yes, he lost a bit of time in the middle sector to Lando in a couple of corners, but made it up with some good corner exits and that straight line speed that he had. So yeah, what a lap from him. Something that I didn't expect for sure. Now, could McLaren have got more out of their car? I do think so. I don't think Lando necessarily made mistakes. It looked quite a clean lap, but maybe he didn't quite push that car hard enough. Maybe because of the fact he got his first run in Q3 wrong and he was down in P5. I think that does subconsciously play a bit of a factor on your committance to that final lap. That couple of half a tenth, which we know is so crucial now, maybe played on Lando's mind, not wanting to maybe push so hard into the first corner. Little moments here and there. Slight hesitation can be the difference between you being in third and first, as we saw. Oscar Piastri also ballsed up the first sector, and he did very well to recover with 2 purple sectors in the second and third, but the damage was done in the first sector. McLaren, while Max Verstappen's lap was absolutely brilliant, and I'm not taking anything away from it, he is clearly maximising that car to its full potential. On the flip side, I don't think the McLaren boys are. And that's the difference. And that's where, if Max doing what he's doing now, will, even if he doesn't win the race tomorrow, this could, what he's performing like now, could win him his fifth World Championship. Because we know if Max gets a car that is as fast as the McLaren, is as stable as the McLaren, he's going to dominate. Because he doesn't make mistakes. He maximizes that car. And the McLaren boys aren't maximizing that car. So, yeah, so intriguing. Who knows what the race has in store for us tomorrow with, of course, the wet weather conditions. Something that Max excels at, as I said in the clip there. Will that Red Bull be better in race trim, though, in wet conditions? How will it react when there's a drying track as well? We saw in Melbourne that it wasn't as good on its tyres. I'm intrigued to see how that Red Bull handles tomorrow. But one thing Max will be difficult to do is pass. It'll be difficult to pass Max Verstappen, and if it is wet weather conditions, it's all about that dash to the first corner, which we know Max, his 4th pole here at Suzuka in a row, has been able to maintain that first place in multiple conditions, wet weather included there, into the first corner, which is so essential at Suzuka. So yeah, really intrigued to see how it gets on, but the McLaren boys, they need to do more, because Max Verstappen isn't going to let you off. This is what he's like with a car that's not there. Arguably the 3rd or 4th fastest car, and he's still sticking it on pole position. Even with cooling track conditions, even if the car came into that more better operating window for Max, McLaren should still have enough to get on pole position. Arguably they did today. Oscar Piastri, if it wasn't for that first sector, he would have been comfortably on pole position. Lando, if he didn't balls up his first run in Q3, maybe would have been more aggressive on that last run and gained that extra tenth or extra half a tenth, which is so important at the top of the field now with how close the performance is. But yeah, overall though, what a lap from Max Verstappen, and yeah, he's going to be a tough guy to beat tomorrow in wet conditions. I'm looking forward to it. Be sure to tune in, guys, to the watch along that I will be live an hour before the race for our pre-show, and of course we'll stick around for post-show as well after the race ends. So yeah, link for that stream is in the description below, and we will see you tomorrow for what is only our 3rd race. I can't believe it's only our 3rd race weekend for what no doubt is going to be a very eventful one, maybe just like it was in Melbourne.